The Supreme Court has now handed the Obama administration a major defeat on immigration. The court split the vote 4-4 evenly between the court's conservatives and liberals.
That decision leaves a lower court ruling in place blocking the president's plan to spare up to 4 million undocumented immigrants from deportation and giving them work permits. And here to talk more about the court's decision is immigration attorney Rick Ramirez. First of all, welcome, Rick.
Thank you.
Tell us, for people that don't know, what is the difference between DAPA and DACA, and what are they?
Okay. Well, DACA was a program that was announced in 2012 to help the Dreamers, which were students or young people in the country that came here undocumented, a chance to have some kind of work permit and kind of a reprieve from deportation. And that program was announced in 2012. And it's important to note that program was not affected by yesterday's ruling. Now, DAPA, which is Deferred Action for Parents, is a program that was designed to help the parents of U.S. citizen children or resident children obtain a work permit and again, shield them from deportation. And that was the program that was struck down yesterday, along with an expansion of the 2012 program.
Well, with the Supreme Court deadlock, as we said, where does that leave people who qualify for the two immigration programs?
Right. Well, if someone qualified for deferred action back in 2012, they can still continue with that program. It's not affected. They can continue to renew their permits and whatever benefits it had from that program. Now, the potential beneficiaries of the DAPA program, which was struck down yesterday, there's still no recourse for them. President Obama mentioned yesterday, there's a low enforcement priority on these people. So even though they don't have a chance to apply for immigration benefits, the chance of them getting deported from the country is very, very minimal.
Yeah, because that's the fear for many people.
Yeah, now after the Supreme Court released its opinion yesterday, President Obama said people who would have qualified for DAPA and expanded DACA would remain a low priority for enforcement.
That's correct. And so again, the DAPA guidelines, when they came out in 2014, stated that a person would be eligible for the program if there was no criminal history and they had been here for a while, and of course they were the parent of a U.S. citizen or resident child. So as long as those qualifications remain in place, as long as they don't leave the country, or as long as they stay away from trouble and don't get into kind of any criminal history, they should be okay as far as immigration not coming knocking on their door, or having them report to an office or things like that.
So this would go the same across the board for people here in the country, and specifically here in the Valley, that don't have that paperwork, that are illegal. They won't be facing deportation depending, like you said, their record.
Correct. And unfortunately, there is a lot of people here in this area that are going to be affected by the decision. Unfortunately, it's not something that they wanted to hear, but I mean, those are the rules and the laws of our country. So yeah, just to reinforce the fact, they are not going to be enforcement priorities if they do not have a criminal record, if they are not recent border crossers, or they don't have any ties to any kind of terrorism group and things like that. Unfortunately, they won't be able to come out of the shadows and get their work permits and get their Social Security cards, but they still won't have that fear of saying, well, at any moment someone can come and take me away from my family.
And Rick, it's an election year, but what impact will that have on immigration reform?
Well, it's a huge impact. I mean, I think this is one of the most important elections in our lifetime. And now that this happened, the immigration debate is at the forefront of politics. And it's going to be interesting to see the next administration, whoever that may be, whether or not they're going to continue these executive actions, or whether or not they're going to say, let's put a pause on everything and let's sit down and talk about comprehensive immigration reform, which will, hopefully be the ultimate resolution to all these problems we're having right now.
Yeah, and this is definitely not over now that the decision, it goes back to the lower court. So we'll definitely see what happened, and we'll bring you back when you have some updates for us.
Absolutely.
Rick, thank you so much for being here to talk about this important topic. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.